The criminal case against former officer Mark Dial, the cop that killed Eddie Irizarry, is back in full swing after a judge reinstated all the charges a month after a different judge dismissed all the charges. Let's have a look. According to the AP News, the judge reinstates the murder charge against Philly police officer in a fatal shooting of a motorist. A judge on Wednesday reinstated all charges, including a murder count, against a former police officer who shot and killed a driver through a rolled-up car window, a confrontation police initially described as the officer shooting the driver after he lunged at him with a knife outside the car. Common Pleas Court Judge Lillian Ransom agreed with prosecutors that the facts of the case should be established at trial, because this is how court cases are supposed to proceed. The facts are established at trial, and then the jury decides what those facts mean. Former officer Mark Dial, 27, was charged with murder, manslaughter, official oppression, and 4 other counts in the August 14th shooting death of 27-year-old Eddie Irizarry during a traffic stop. Defense lawyers argued the officer could have feared for his life because he thought Irizarry had a gun, and a municipal court judge dismissed the case last month for lack of evidence. So this judge dismissed the entire case because the prosecutors didn't adduce enough evidence, despite the body cam footage that, if you haven't seen, you should check out my other videos. Despite the ring camera footage that, if you haven't seen, you should check out my other videos. Despite all of this evidence, including his fellow officer, his partner, screaming out before he started shooting, he's got a knife, not a gun, a knife. During the video, there wasn't enough evidence for him to be prosecuted for any charges. Even if the judge thought murder was a little too much, none of the charges remain standing after this municipal court judge dismissed the case. Luckily, that's changed at this point. Prosecutors quickly appealed, asking for the charges to be reinstated. Dial and his partners have said they followed Irizarry's car after it sped past them at high speed in a bike lane and rounded a corner, driving erratically and finally going the wrong way on a residential street before pulling into a parking space. So they weren't following him because they thought that he had committed some violent crime. They were following him for traffic infractions, and they jumped out of their car with their guns drawn and started shooting at him 7 seconds after they got out of their vehicle. Police body camera footage showed Dial firing a total of 6 rounds about 7 seconds after getting out of a police SUV and walking over to a sedan. The footage also showed Irizarry holding a knife near his right leg. So Irizarry, in this car with doors and windows that are up, has a knife. And the officer, 7 seconds after getting out of the car, shoots him 6 times, and the judge says there's not enough evidence for him to even go to trial for anything. Dial's partner, Officer Michael Morris, previously testified he saw the driver holding a knife with a black metal handle that could have looked like a gun, and the man started to raise it as Dial approached, and he screamed that he had a knife. This was his testimony. He said on the stand that he screamed that he had a knife, although he couldn't remember his exact words. On cross-examination, the defense attorney played surveillance video with audio he said sounded like someone saying gun, and then Morris saying gun, knife, and Morris agreed. So after he testified that he screamed he had a knife, but he couldn't remember his exact words, then he kind of agreed with the defense attorney that maybe he could have said gun. And that was enough, apparently, for the judge to dismiss all the charges. Assistant District Attorney Leandra Ritaco, however, argued Wednesday that a trial was needed to determine what was said and by whom, as well as a number of other facts in the case that are in dispute, because you can't dismiss a lawsuit until the facts are fully adduced, if the facts are in dispute. You just can't do that. Perhaps at a summary judgment stage or something of that nature, or perhaps at a directed verdict motion. After we've already impaneled a jury and presented all of the evidence, then perhaps at a directed verdict stage, you can then get things dismissed or certain charges dismissed because perhaps the state hasn't met its burden at that point, and it's clear that no reasonable jury could find that the state has met its burden. But this judge apparently didn't care about all of that. The prosecutor said the defense refers to the case as a tragedy, suggesting something bad happened, but nobody did anything wrong. But Mark Dial did something horribly wrong. Police initially claimed Dial shot Irizarry out of the vehicle after he lunged at police with a knife, but were forced to backtrack after then Police Commissioner Danielle Outlaw said a review of the officer's body-worn cameras made it very clear that what we initially reported was not actually what happened. Dial, a 5-year member of the force, was suspended after officials said he refused to cooperate with investigators. Police said Dial was fired on September 18th. Like I said, I'm going to keep you all abreast of what's going on in this Eddie Irizarry matter. I'm sure that there's going to be a civil case at some point, but for now, we're still trying to get the criminal charges against this officer, see what's going to happen with that. And that should wrap up fairly quickly, a lot quicker than any civil action will wrap up. But I'm going to keep you posted about this because I don't know what judge this is going to be in front of ultimately. Hopefully it remains in front of Judge Ransom, the one who reinstated the charges. But if it goes back to the prior judge, that could spell disaster for the prosecutor's case here. But we'll just have to keep our eyes on this and see if we can get some justice for Eddie Irizarry, who should still be alive. My name is Nathan Saunders, and this is The Legal Good.